One second. Maybe I'm gonna just. Okay, one second. Yeah, one second. Okay. There's still a couple. What time is it? Okay. Let's see, just make sure. Hopefully that will work. We're using technology to make it stable. Okay. 1 second. Is somebody at the door? I'll answer the door. You can start.
Tell me where you are, go, but it's something to me that is there.
It's 8 o'clock there. You can start.
Only, yeah. So,
Well.
right.
Start the scene.
It's starting there.
Yeah, say. Everybody's waiting.
Very sorry, I hope everyone's well, keeping well fit with this virus. There'll be lockdown, should be open up. She'll be well gesund. Yeah. Now, this seems on the Rosh Hashanah. Now, the last Mishnah Rosh Hashanah, that's what it talks about. It's a Machlekas HaGamliel and Chachomim about the Motzi people for their tefillahs. You have to remember in those days they didn't have Siddurim that. They had to learn off by heart their lives. So the Gamliel says you can Motzi somebody, anybody. If someone's Boki or he's not Boki, or he doesn't know the Bach as well, or he does know the Bach as well. Then I would say no, it's somebody who's Boki who knows about it. He's not used to with the source of stuff from the Sybil. He has to do it himself. Only those who are not Boki would know. That's what basically the Mishnah says. So there's an argument whether the halacha is like it, or do we apply the whole year? It only applies at Musaf, the long brachas of Rosh Hashanah only applies just in Musaf, but near the new year, each one can agree with the other one. But anyhow, the God goes on to say, it brings by the people who used to, you also even when you're Sadeh, a person's always making order for pays to fill and after with the davening. Honor for tefillah, and we know we can see this. See him make a big Indian, he's making for tefillah, idea of bonus and so on. He brings the mice. He brings the mice here. He brings the stavra. What Lezer says is that a person masala self before he davens. Therefore, it's Rosh Yom Kippur because there's long tefillahs and not people are booking it. So therefore, he has to be acquainted with it. He has to revise it and go on in order to get it in order, say it properly for Yom Tov. The same for Prokim as well. On occasions like Yom Tov, where you don't only comes to certain times of the year, then he has to prepare himself beforehand. He brings a nice the great Amoya, the Talmud from Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda, he didn't use to daven very regularly. I mean, them he was their tefillah was like their tefillah. So yet he prepared himself beforehand. Okay, 30 days. He used to daven the pocket, and he prepared himself for that. So why did he need to do it? He wasn't a bokeh. He was a bokeh, but since he's irregular, it's only at certain times of the year, he had to revise it beforehand. Now, the more things are he ends up by saying, what Uncle says that the Ksores Hashatz, what the Shliach says, because then putters people from their tefillah, it pleased the people in the Sodeh, people out in the fields and so on, not in the town. It's difficult to come. There's a work far away for the issue for the current government. So they don't know, they're not well versed in the tefillah by themselves on Rosh Hashanah. So he exempts them, he putters them with the Ksores Hashatz. And and obviously those people who here or in town, he exempts them with Ksores Hashatz. They don't know their tefillah, he putters them, exempts them from their tefillah for what he says Ksores Hashatz. Now, I'll ask a question of that. On the other way around, it should be. Those who are in the fields, they can't get to town easily, that worse, they're busy at work and so time. They can't get there. So they're like honest, they're like honest at all. They can't help it at all. They should be exempted by the tefillah of the Shliach Tzibor. But those in the town, they can come to shul with that. They do themselves. They're worse. They look good. They need to. They're not honest. They shouldn't be able to be potter by the tefillah of the Ksores Hashatz. The more accepts that, and the more changes around a bit. What Siyumim says. He says we find a similar parallel by duchening Kohanim. No, when you're duchen, you're supposed to be upon him, face to face. And when you're in the shul, for example, so the Kohanim come to the front, put their hands up to bless the people. And there's some people in the front, they have to move in front a bit, because it could be possibly behind the Kohanim. So the Yiddish says behind the Kohanim, they're not the Klal Bracha, they're behind. Those in front of the Bracha, the same thing as well, because they're there already the spot, they can come close to the front more. So they're not included in the Bracha of the Kohanim. The same thing I would say is changing the same thing with the people in the field. The people in the field, they can't help themselves. They have to be yoked with the Ksores Hashatz of the Shliach Tzibor. So therefore, they are potter from the Ksores Hashatz of the Shliach Tzibor. That's what it says. We see those potter they only have people that saw there. My town Muslim because they're honest. They can't help it if they can't get to it. But other people in town, they have to come along. They won't be yoked. They need some malocha, but here low, they won't be yoked. That's what ends up. Hadaloch, that's what ends up Yontiv. It's legal settles Rosh Hashanah, and we finish out the Rosh Hashanah. You know, before we make the Hadron, we're going to say so. If you take we're in a very precarious situation, as we already were holding by this problem going, and as we know. The problems involved if we as Yidden ourselves within this Leibster, it depends on our koich, our tefillahs, the rough is on it. Why it came, why did we don't know exactly. But one thing we can say, what we can do, we can think, Cheshman, everything we're coming towards Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Why is it these one thing happening? We couldn't get to shul, we couldn't get to schools are closed, everything like that. Well, first I have to think for himself, you know. Our own thoughts could have been brought to that. Perhaps we haven't been davening properly. Perhaps we've been thinking of Kavanah. We haven't had Amen Shai, perhaps we're talking shul, perhaps we're talking to fill in. Anything. Every person should know himself, should take us think about it. You can prove yourself on those lines. And there's a show that usually help him. He'll send Yeshua, a complete Yeshua Makoro. We shouldn't have these problems at all yet. I'd like to tell you a little story. This importance of the Kavanah, how it is in Tefillah. The story always goes down very well. See, the Baal Shem Tov after Yom wants one, what's a Yom Kippur? He says to me, right, we're going on a journey. And you know the Baal Shem Tov's journey. He gets on the way and on the carriage. There's Alexei, his Goy, the driver, and he goes zooming off. He doesn't have to do much. He goes automatically over hills and dales. Till they finally come to a small village, and they stop going to the village. They stop outside the inn. Now the innkeeper spotted them, so he comes out, and he was in a terrible state. He was crying. He says, Rebbe, help me with the Shuba, see. So Hashem says, he waits till he calms down and says, what's the problem? He says like this, I own this inn. Now, we've got no minion here as such. What do we do for Yom Kippur? We go in a carriage for the family, take us to doing what we've got, and we go to the city for the minion. Had everything prepared, all the story ready, and we left. Now, what happened? When I got to our destination, I realized I hadn't locked up the cellar, where the wine is, everything, all the barrels. What happens if sort of a guy comes in, you can't use the wine afterward, we just say it happened. So I thought, well, I've got enough time, I'll go back and I'll lock it and I'll quickly rush back. Yeah. So he goes back, he's ready there, he locks up everything, then he gets a shock. The Poritz, the squire of the area, comes to him, he's half shook, he says he wants a drink. Yeah. What can I say? I daren't refuse. If I refuse him in his state he is, he can kill me. Yeah. So I go to a drink, and I was praying, hope you should go away quick. Anyhow, it didn't work like that. He had a drink, another drink. And I'm schwitzing here, why? But what's going to happen? I'm going to get to the shore. And then he brings his friends along, and it takes a long time. And I was sweating there and that. But finally, when he left, locked everything, it was too late to go to get back to the town, to done with the minion. And I was so broken-hearted. I didn't know what to do. I feel that he was out there to accept my thriller. I can't dub them properly. I don't know the words properly. Yeah. All I know is to say what I say it's a thriller to show our base because we repeatedly saying the other base the whole time. Yeah. So after he told that, he said, finish your story. Just to put his hand on his shoulder. It hasn't there your tiller as we go. I took kiss her covered. There you have a good bench, so you see your well, maybe in your bit. You understand. Tiller understanding that. Right. Oh, I do now, yeah.
Mazel tov, shikoyach.
Yeah, I've got to skip the Havdin here when I see. Oh, yeah. I didn't look with sex Rosh Hashanah. I don't look with sex Rosh Hashanah. No, Hashanah with Hashanah. Over almost the Ossi, the whole day long, the Ossi. I did a lot. My sex Rosh Hashanah, I took alone. That's on a lot. My sex Hashanah, I took alone. Listen, the shame, you know. You saw what sex Hashanah is. The shame alone, and the almost the whole day long, the Ossi. Hadr Aloch Master Shona Adach Alon. That's on Aloch Master Shona Adach Alon. There is means the same and over Shona and the same and on the other office. They would our office. Good to make on the Hangers also but on the boy. Lovely proper, afternoon proper, joy, I don't know the Hegel so really how we say say I'm from the circle, I read a thing that he told me careful on the bush, when I was careful, well, lost the book, I thought I know I'm very careful, or may, it's all right.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. Kishem shesiyamta. Very nice, beautiful. Shikoyach, shikoyach. All good to brachas.
They're wishing you brachas. They're wishing you brachas. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Mazel tov, everybody. That's lachar Abba, B'suras Tevis.